Book 1, Stage 2, Lesson 23. Meal,
Meal.
breakfast,
Breakfast.
lunch,
Lunch.
dinner,
Dinner.
a day,
A day.
morning,
Morning.
evening.
Evening.
Very good. Meal, comida. Breakfast, desayuno. Lunch, almuerzo. Dinner, cena. A day, diario, por día. Morning, mañana. Evening, en la tarde, noche, tarde. People generally eat 3 meals a day, which we call breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? We generally have breakfast at about 8 o'clock in the morning, lunch at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and dinner at about 8 p.m. in the evening, all right? Very good. Tell me the names of the 3 meals that people generally eat a day. Tell me the names of the 3 meals that people generally eat a day.
The name of the 3 meals that people generally eat a day are breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Very good. What time do you have your breakfast? What time do you have your breakfast?
I have my breakfast at 8:30.
Very good. What time do you have your lunch? What time do you have your lunch?
I have my lunch at around 1 p.m.
Very good. What time does your dinner begin? What time does your dinner begin?
My dinner begins at 8 o'clock.
Very good. What time does your dinner end? What time does your dinner end?
My dinner ends at 8
p.m.
p.m.
No.
8:30, 8:45 p.m.
Very good. How long does your dinner last? How long does your dinner last?
My dinner lasts about 45 minutes.
Very good. Knife,
Knife,
fork,
fork,
chopsticks.
chopsticks.
Very good. Knife, cuchillo, fork, tenedor, chopsticks, palitos chinos. What do we use to eat with? What do we use to eat with?
We use a knife and fork or chopsticks to eat with.
Very good. Many, okay. Plural number of things, right? Many, more than. Few, fewer than.
Okay.
Singular quantity of things. Much,
Right.
more than. Little, less than. Much and many, or many and much, a lot of books, pens, etc. Let me explain. Many and much have the same meaning, but we use many with things we can count. For example, we can count pens. 1 pen, 2 pens, 3 pens, 4 pens, etc., etc. We can count books. 1 book, 2 books, etc., etc. Generally, the things we can count take an S in the plural, right? People is an exception. People is the plural, but we use many with it. There are many people in Bogota, for example. Very good. Much, on the other hand, we use it with things we cannot count. For example, we cannot count water or sugar. We cannot say 1 water, 2 waters, 3 waters, 4, no. We cannot say 2 sugars, 3 sugars, etc. No, impossible. Money is no exception. We can count money, but we do not say 1 money, 2 monies, 3 money, no. We say 1 bill, $1, $2, etc., etc., or pounds, etc., right?
Okay, yes.
What's the difference between many and much? What's the difference between many and much?
The difference between many and much is that we use many for things we can count and much for things we cannot count.
Very good. Give me a sentence using many with it, or in it, please. Give me a sentence using many in it.
There are many people in this town.
Very good. Give me a sentence using much in it. Give me a sentence using much in it.
She drinks too much coffee.
Very good. Few and little also have the same meaning, but we use few with things we can count and little with things we cannot count. Alright? What's the difference between few and little? What's the difference between few and little?
The difference between few and little is that we use few with things we can count and little with things we cannot count.
Perfect. Give me a sentence with few in it, please. Give me a sentence with few in it, please.
There are a few chairs in this room.
No. Few things we cannot count.
Few things we cannot count.
I'm sorry. Yes, very good. You're right. Give me a sentence with little in it. I'm sorry. Give me a sentence with little in it.
I drink little milk.
Perfect. Many,
Many
and few.
Few.
Many and few. Many, mucho, few, poco. Are there many pictures on these walls? Are there many pictures on these walls?
No, there are many pictures on these walls, but there are few pictures on these walls.
Perfect. Are there few people in a large city? Are there few people in a large city? No, there are a few people in a large city, but there are many people in a large city. Perfect. Much,
Much,
little.
little.
Much, mucho, little, poco. Do you drink much wine? Do you drink much wine?
No, I don't drink much wine, but I drink little one.
Perfect. Do you eat little bread? Do you eat little bread?
No, I don't eat little bread, but I eat much bread.
Perfect. Fewer than,
Fewer than,
less than,
less than,
whiskey,
whiskey,
bank.
bank.
Fewer than, menos que. Less than, menos que. Whiskey, whiskey, bank, banco. The difference between fewer than and less than is that we use fewer than with things we can count and less than with things we cannot count. For example, I have fewer thumbs than fingers in my hands, but I drink less water than milk or less milk than water, alright? What's the difference between fewer and less than? What's the difference between fewer than and less than?
The difference between fewer than and less than is that we use fewer than for things we can count and less than for things we cannot count.
Perfect. Give me a sentence with fewer than in it, please. Give me a sentence with fewer than in it, please.
There are fewer pictures in this room than chairs.
Very good. Give me a sentence with less than in it. Give me a sentence with less than in it, please.
I eat less food than my father.
Very good. Are there more people in Europe than in Asia? Are there more people in Europe than in Asia? No, there are
more people in Europe than in Asia,
but there are fewer people in Europe than in Asia. Very good. Do you drink more wine than water? Do you drink more wine than water?
No, I don't drink more wine than water, but I drink less wine than water.
Perfect. Have you more money than the Bank of England? Have you more money than the Bank of England?
No, I don't have more money than the Bank of England, but I have less money than the Bank of England.
Perfect. Do you eat more meat than bread? Do you eat more meat than bread? No?
No, I don't eat more meat than bread.
Perfect.
But I eat less meat
Than
bread.
perfect. The fewest,
The fewest,
the least,
the least,
salt,
salt,
that.
that.
The fewest, el menor, the least, el menor, salt, sal, that, eso. The difference between the fewest and the least is the same as that between fewer than and less than. The fewest we use for things we can count, whilst the least we use for things we cannot count, right? For example, of these three places, London, Oxford, and Greenwich, Greenwich has the fewest buildings, right? And of these three people, Mr. Brown, Mr. Smith, and Mr. Jones drinks the least coffee. Okay, very good. What's the difference between the fewest and the least? What's the difference between the fewest and the least?
The difference between the fewest and the least is that we use the fewest for things we can count and the least for things we cannot count.
Very good. Give me a sentence using the fewest in it.
In my family, my sister is the one who reads the fewest books.
Very good. Of these three books, of these two books, has this book the most pages? Of these two books, has this book the most pages?
Yes. Of these two books, this book has the most pages.
Very good. Of these three foods, bread, meat, and salt. Of these three foods, bread, meat, and salt, do you eat salt the most? Do you eat salt the most?
No, of those three foods,
bread, meat, and salt. I don't eat salt.
I don't eat salt
the most, but I eat salt.
But I eat salt the least.
Very good. Of these three drinks, water, milk, and wine. Of these three milks, water, milk, and wine, do you drink wine the most? No.
No, of those three drinks, water, milk, and wine, I don't drink wine
the most,
but I drink it the least.
Perfect. End of lesson 23.